The reigning premiers have begun to look very ominous in the last couple of weeks with impressive wins over Essendon and Collingwood, and they are only likely to get better. The magnificent midfield is really hitting form at the right time, and they'll take some stopping, but they'll meet a desperate Adelaide today as round 11 continues here at AAMI Stadium. Big game for the Swans, but also for the Adelaide Crows, as we welcome you, Mark Rasciuto, former champion with the Adelaide Crows, premiership player and skipper. Roo, big welcome to you and to everyone. What a game for the Crows, a huge challenge for them because, gee, the Swans have been impressive in the last couple of weeks.
It's a massive game for both sides. The Crows need to win to keep their finals hopes alive. Sydney need to win heading into the bye to keep challenging for the top four spots.
Let's have a closer look at the Swans. They do have a few injuries. Jetta is the latest one to miss. Brandon Jack gets his chance, the brother of Kieran, which will be terrific, but he will start as the sub.
Yeah, Jetta out's handy for the Crows, not good for Sydney with his speed on this big oval at AAMI. That'll be a loss for Sydney Swans. Adelaide have got young Crouch coming into the side. McKernan comes back in, Henderson in as well, Callanan so the
late change with Callanan in.
Well, there, able to really put the squeeze on now. Hanbury to half forward. Mitch Morton engaged. Smith, did he give away the free? It certainly looked like it from here. Rutten, Douglas, Jack. He's got Jesse White back in the goal square. He just couldn't get ball to boot, but he did draw a free.
Gee, he went to ground and ducked underneath the tackle, so I don't know what choice Henderson had there. I mean, you have a look here. He just goes straight to ground.
Well, they exploit it, the players, don't they? They exploit that rule, and if the umpires fall for it, good on the players for it, I suppose.
Nothing the tackling player can do.
Jack went for goods. He didn't get goods, but he was able to find Bird.
And exactly like we said, Hutto, Adelaide have had 7 inside 50s. They couldn't get a mark inside 50. Sydney go down for the first time, and they hit the target, and they'll probably get a goal.
Craig Bird to line them up. Reasonably elementary shot, and that's the way it goes. Straight through. Sydney kicked the first.
Roo, I haven't seen a lot of Bernie Vince this year, in particular in his run with rolls. Yeah, how's he been doing that?
He actually hasn't been running with anyone. This is the first. I think he's minding Kennedy here. This is the first time for the year he's done that. But he's been solid for him. Probably averaging 20 touches a game, doing his bit.
Well, using his physical advantage there, Jesse White, and that will gladden a few Sydney hearts because we know he's got a terrific build for AFL footy. He's athletic, he's tall, he's strong.
Well, the fact is, Hutto, he dominates at the level below this, but he hasn't been able to transfer that form in a consistent basis to AFL level.
Just played the one game this year so far. That was against Hawthorn. Kicked 1 goal, won that night. It's his 6th season of AFL, so he should know how to kick a long goal, and he just shows us that he does.
Wing.
He's on his own too at the moment. Crows deciding through Rutten to stand about 15 or 20 off him. Here's Dangerfield trying to amp things up for the Crows, and they need a bit of a lift too. Richards with the fly. Callanan doing what little bloke should do, and he made Everett keep guessing. He turned onto the left and put it through. Nice response, Adelaide. The risk was too great. So the kick, a more conservative route out to half-back. Alton was well placed.
Whoops.
Kerridge came through but handed it back to McVeigh. Assistance provided from Grundy and now O'Keefe. Probing ball. Hanbury. They're so versatile, the Swans. The midfielders can play as forwards. They can take a mark. They're as tough as nails, Roo.
Well, he is. He's a great footballer. He's one of the most improved players in the comp over the last couple of years. He gets under the guard a little bit, but he's starting to get the recognition he deserves, starting to actually get tagged, I think, last week as well. Henderson down back is a real worry. He looked like he was trying to... He was comfortable, yeah.
12-6 the season has produced for Hanbury, and that's a goal. The Swans extend their lead to 9.
They've just gone up a notch here, Sydney boys, haven't they? There's only 40 seconds to go. I think quarter time's going to come very, very quickly for Adelaide. They need the quarter time siren. They just feel like Sydney are getting hold of this game at the moment.
Led for Jenkins, Rampy to his own advantage. He's going to use that. Hanbury confronted by Crouch. So he decided to handball, try and work his way back to be an option again, perhaps. Here's Rampy, dashing defender, turning into attack. Pike's there from the side. Parker!
Oh. Good catch by midfielder.
We saw him over in New Zealand. He probably had his season best game that day against the Saints. But as you mentioned, you know, he doesn't get much of a say as far as headlines go. It's such a deep and talented group that plays his role.
And I'll tell you what, like they don't usually like the midfielders going for a mark, but if you're going to catch it, go for it.
That's his 10th goal of the season, 10 goals too for Luke Parker, and the Swans continue this marvellous form, this vein of form they've shown in the last month, Jason, at their best again in the second half of that quarter.
Yeah, very impressive, the Adelaide Crows. They've got the Sydney Swans, I should say. The Adelaide Crows got a lot of work to do. Brenton Sanderson, he's got to make some adjustments if they're going to get back into this in the second term.
4-4-28 the Swans, the Crows 1-4-10. It's an 18-point margin at the first. Van Berlo to a Lynch-Rampy battle. Lynch tried to keep it on Adelaide terms. Henderson, Otten took their turn of crashing through a Vince. Gave it up, but got it back to Henderson. To what? Nothing convincing about this for the Crows. Dangerfield tried to make it more meaningful, but he didn't have the answer. McVeigh, Hanbury on the end of it again, drills it into the 50. They are a delight to watch, the Swans.
That's a perfect example of what we're talking about. Sydney kept putting tackles on the Adelaide Crows, and they fumbled the ball. It didn't hit the target. They didn't clear the stoppage. And then when they got the ball, Sydney, Adelaide tried to tackle them, but they still got the ball clear and found a loose runner, and then they hit a target. They're so good in close.
At the moment, it's been chalk and cheese. Our sides are moving the ball and the pressure they're under when they got the ball.
Almost a permanent forward unless they're in trouble, the Swans, and they're certainly not in trouble now. Bolton, 16th goal for the year.
Well, they look totally in control of this game, Sydney, at the moment. Since about the 10 or 15-minute mark of the first quarter, you can see Sydney can still keep the ball under body, under pressure, and find a target when they go inside 50. On the flip side, when Adelaide have got the ball, they're under the pump. They can't really control the ball. They're coughing it up. And when they go forward, it's under pressure and with no system at all. It's really looking extremely dangerous at the moment for Adelaide. Sydney would be absolutely wrapped about the way they're going about it.
The lead starting to reach dangerous proportions early in the second.
Scores from turnovers. 4-5 for the Swans.
Thompson tried to set Dangerfield away, but he found the going too difficult. Bird, and suddenly the Swans are at half forward. Rutten calling on all his experience there and strength. Desperate stakes again in the middle. McGlynn with some good pressure for the Swans. Stays with Adelaide though. Crouch and Riley. He's talking about slingshot. He was right in the middle of it there, slung to the ground.
Well, what we do get tonight is a great test for Brenton Sanderson. He's up against one of the most strategic and one of the most difficult sides to combat. It'll be a really good test to see what he can construct out of the Adelaide coaching box.
And they are on too, the Swans, aren't they? Everett, Douglas, the big wraparound tackle. Good effort.
Well, that's a better tackle from Douglas because it didn't allow Everett to get the ball out. They need more tackles like that, Adelaide.
Dan Hanbury has had 6 disposals in the opening 4 minutes of this second term.
Best to go with his 10 in the first quarter.
Dangerfield, good. Here's another from Hanbury. He rushed the kick in the end, but he saw that White was coming out. It's a good target. Kieran Jack from the stand start. Assessed it. Executed. And put through another goal. Stunned silence.
Well, Adelaide is starting to trail in behind their opponents in the moment instead of attacking them. That was a good tackle, but look here, Brent Riley, look at that. That is shocking defence. And if you're going to play it like that to a good side, you're going to just let them go in and kick goals. You need to be attacking them, putting pressure on them, and really making them feel the heat. At the moment, they are controlling this game, and it is an understatement to say it's getting out of control here for the Adelaide Football Club.
His brother will make his debut a little later. He is the sub today, Brandon Jack. He's had a terrific season, particularly last month in their reserves team in the NEFL and the local competition. And he's got good pace and getting better with every time he plays the game. Here's McVeigh from the wing, just delaying the kick, and then he saw Goods and scope to run. They'll get it out in front of Jesse White again, who's enjoying himself.
Well, they just took Brent Riley off because he got led to the ball by Jesse White there, and Andy Otten's come on, but it's pretty hard to combat a kick like that. Sydney are the best at turning defence into attack. We saw McVeigh take a contested mark, quick as a flash. Goods was out the other side.
So here's Jesse White.
Oh.
That's a fair strike as well. That's his second, and how happy is he?
Well, that had no right to go through. That was a terrible kick. It was one of those floaters that goes both ways, Roo. It was a bad ball drop, but credit to him. This is the transition. You see Adam Goods so quickly ducks out the back because too many Adelaide Crows get caught watching the contest at half-back. Adam Goods reads they're going to win it, but that was a real wobbly one off the boot. Started left to right, came back right to left, and he's pretty happy because he's got a couple to his name.
7 goals to 1. Kennedy, Riley can work the perimeter here. No, he decides just to blaze away and hope that Jenkins got both hands to it. And at the back, it has to be Dangerfield.
And they do it very well.
Kernan was up, but Grundy to McVeigh and McGlynn.
See, they prey on your turnovers, don't they? I mean, the kick out was a long, high kick to both McKernan and Jacobs, but there were no crummers at their feet. And as soon as the ball came to ground, Sydney had the options, and the last person you want to see with it in their hands, if you're playing against them, is Jared McVeigh, because he just hits targets.
It's 5 goals 7 to 1 goal 3 from turnovers, Jose. Sydney's way.
McGlynn comes through and puts through another. It's out to 40. Hard to believe, Jace, the Sydney side, it looked so ordinary really against Hawthorn less than a month ago, and since then they've played some unbelievable footy.
They have, but we also know that they start slowly and build up. They know they're in for a long campaign. They measure the amount of work they do. They don't hit the ground running at 100% full throttle in round 1.
Well, they had Gold Coast and GWS in round 1 and 2 as well, so they probably even took it slower.
They had the draw against Fremantle, of course. It's great wins over Collingwood and Essendon, and they're well on their way again, but there's a long time will either be the enemy or the ally of Adelaide, depending on which way this game's going. Right now, they are getting absolutely belted as Riley takes the mark from the Parker break out of the middle. And that's some more kick close with danger. Top of the 50, Laird. Plucky stuff, was able to ride the bump, get it back in the middle. McKernan ranging out through the middle of the ground. Callanan, Dangerfield, tries to get things going. He couldn't. In fact, he's been caught. Gee, the ball slipped out, didn't it?
I don't like that because he didn't actually grab the player, Parker. It was terrific pressure. But he knocked the ball out of his arms. He didn't actually hang on to Patrick Dangerfield.
Bad call.
Parker for Goods. Hasn't really been required too much so far, Adam Goods. Talia, McKernan, Smith. Crowd getting impatient. Talia again. He ignored Dangerfield, went for Sloan instead. He had plenty of company though. Grundy through the middle of the ground. They can set up through Everett and Hanbury. His 12th disposal of the quarter is a handball. His 13th is to come. It'll be a kick. Hanbury watch continues. To half forward. Again, they can sweep the Crows. Crouch. Popped it over the top. And he's got Jenkins. And he's got Lynch. But he had Richards as well.
It's amazing to sit up. We sit well above the ground, but if you watch how hard Sydney work when they haven't got the ball, you can understand why the opposition is always under pressure. They are manic in the way they work back, they push back in numbers, they push back hard, and they attack the man with the ball to take time away from him.
Pike for Bolton. Here's Dangerfield. McGlynn. Goods, did he get a little nudge? Morton, work to the left and then back to the right. Couldn't get the angles in the terms he wanted out of the full.
The Adelaide Crows have taken 6 marks for the quarter. We spoke about that in the pre-game. If they just can't, at this stage, control possession out of their defensive half. We saw the inside 50 numbers. They're being inflated because they're just getting 2 for the price of 1. This ball continually coming back in.
Jesse White, he is having a field day. Kicks it into the 50, and they're all lining up for a piece of it. McGlynn, the latest to have a shot. Just further to Dan Hanbury, he's had 24 touches. Nobody has had 24 touches this year to half-time. We've still got 7 minutes to go.
He's going to have plenty more yet. The only thing he hasn't done is been pinpoint by foot, but working incredibly hard.
McGlynn then skips in. 40 points, becomes 46. A dominant display by the Sydney Swans. They're nothing short of awesome at the moment.
Amazing stuff.
And there was a couple of efforts after that as well.
Dangerfield off on one of those exhilarating runs. Needs something to lift this Crows. He decides to kick to centre half forward. It was angled well. And what a great effort from Patrick Dangerfield. Magnificent stuff in his 100th game. Be able to find McKernan. Basically delivered it to him. McKernan goes back. He was wasting no time. It's a mighty strike. And bang! Back with a goal. Kicked by McKernan. But all earned by Dangerfield.
Brilliant stuff by Paddy Dangerfield. He's been trying to ignite the side in this second quarter. 3 or 4 bounces down the wing. He's just pacey. He's too quick for Kennedy. He's more than happy to take him on, use his pace, take the bounce. But see how he used his hand there, and he said, don't look back to the middle and I'll put it to the advantage side. And that's a lesson for midfielders. There's no point just kicking it long and high. You've got to kick it to the advantage side of your big forwards, and he did that perfectly here to McKernan.
A good sign for Sean McKernan to be able to drag down the mark and put it through for a goal, his 4th of the season. We're back into it now. 40 points the margin. We're down to the last 1 minute 50.
Boy, are there some headaches for the Adelaide Crows Brains Trust. Even John Longmire's not happy with the way they're perfectionists. He's still seeing things that he doesn't like, and he wants them to get it right.
Bird read the Dangerfield tackle. He's quite often there for the third up. Dangerfield, he had 6 of those last week. Now Everett is playing some sort of quarter. His 12th disposal, probably not his best. Made life difficult for White. They've still got an extra number here, an extra body. The Swans, and Everett full of confidence. This is what he's shown as a junior and at the lower levels, and now he's displayed it at AFL level as well. Great goal from Andreas Everett. He's having a night out.
Well, that's just amazing. Again, it's first effort, second effort, third effort, persistence. That's what this game is about. He gets involved once he sees a couple of teammates. There he is, shrugs a tackle, then he's off. He bounces, he keeps going, and then he kicks from outside 50. That's a great finish. He's got to make the most of his opportunities. He seems to be the first player out of the team when others come back. But if you start playing like that, you're going to make it very difficult for them to leave you out.
Well, that is confidence on display for you, Jason. I mean, he's had 13 disposals in a quarter, by far the most he ever would have had at a term at AFL level. A bit of belief seeping through, and I guess it's contagious in this Swans team. Mitchell draws the free. They want more. They might get more. Hanbury out in front of Morton. He's had a couple of opportunities, hasn't made the most of them yet.
Well, it looks like Kerridge has now gone back to Hanbury, but I don't know who's been on him for most of this quarter, because it wasn't Kerridge. But whoever it was, they didn't go near him. Another one that needs to make the most of his opportunities. It's Morton.
And this is a premium one for him. He goes out wide with the angle of the kick. It's going to land a little short, and it's worked through from behind. Kingy, what would Brenton Sanderson A be thinking, but B, what's he going to tell them at half-time, do you think?
Well, I think you've got to be honest with your players and and just point out that they are playing some pretty good football. They're playing their best. You know, we've got to challenge them in the second half. If they come off a cog, what can we work on? Well, we can retain a bit more possession, see if we can defend a bit better down back, and then just hold up, basically, because something's got to give in the second half. They can't get playing with this as Swans. This has been powerful.
It's been amazing to watch, hasn't it?
It's as good as I've seen them play for quite some time, and they won the flag last year. And against Collingwood, they were brilliant, but they've gone up a gear tonight.
Yeah, I'm not sure that anyone's played any better than this season so far. McVeigh with 3 seconds to go. They won't get another. Astonishing half of football by the Adelaide Crows. Incredible quarter. Dan Hanbury has 28 disposals at half-time, and the Sydney Swans lead by 47 points. But stay watching, because this is a powerful display by a great team. You have to admire them. Even the locals, they'll be hurting, but they are seeing one awesome performance. Crows re-energised early in the third. Dangerfield took it, but his kick was shut down quickly. McLean slipped it out again, and they're running away through Parker. Back to the wing, haphazard kick. Morton was in front. Smith being challenged by Jesse White. Jesse tries to make the footy his own, breaks away from Smith, digs deep just to get boot to ball, and that breaks the heart of the Crows. What a goal from White.
He kept his space from Brodie Smith, who's probably the fastest player at the Adelaide Football Club, or right up there with Patrick Dangerfield. He's playing for his life, Jesse White, isn't he? And he's had a fantastic night. Kept his feet there. A lot of people would have went to ground. I don't know if he tried to kick the ball like that. I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. But what a fantastic goal. Good pressure there. As I said, Brodie Smith very, very quick. And the big man's had a big game.
Making the most of his opportunity tonight, Jesse White. Kick 3. Margin back to 49.
Just breaks your heart, doesn't it, when you've had an incredible effort in the first 5 minutes. You've kicked 4 behinds and then 1-4-0 forward and you find yourself further behind all of a sudden. But that's why they're the measuring stick, Sydney Swans.
So Parker settles on the lead with the big fella Mumford. Jesse White, who's kicked 4 before in a match, is looking for another chance here. Can't hang on. There's Van Berlo. Mitchell feeling the heat. Goods trying to whip through. Dangerfield versus Hanbury. What a contest. Dangerfield took the points. Morton takes the mark. It's as if he was leading to the footy.
Well, he's got a couple of behinds to his name, Mitch Morton. He's got to make sure that he kicks this. He's had a couple of opportunities that have gone to waste. He's got to make sure in fact, he stick one behind. He had one shot that he should have scored from that he blazed across the face of goal.
So Morton again, that step out to the right. This time he's worked the angles, cuts it nicely back across the body for a goal.
Well, he's fighting for his career and he's spotting the side as well, isn't he, Mitch Morton? And he's a handy player. I think he got this ball really because he read it better than the opposition. He could see it was going to switch there. He ran to the outside and he happened to be in the right spot as well. But he did read the play and not the best technique when you start drifting out to the right before you put boot to ball, but it come back beautifully and he got the goal. Well done, Mitch Morton.
So for all the hard work, it's Sydney with the 2 goals to show early in the third. That discussion you had at half-time was fascinating about the number of tall options available for the Swans. Both Jesse White and Everett, who's more a defender these days than a forward, but still certainly in the debate about selection, are playing really good games tonight, guys.
Then you get Tippett coming in. You've got LRT due back from injury at some stage, and it's a wonderful dilemma to have. Sam Reid's another one that's out injured at the moment.
So they're quite a way off being at full strength. Reece Shaw, one of the main components of defence that they've missed. Henderson to half forward, dumped away easily. First up by the Swans defence. Lynch goes in, a good endeavour. Douglas, ridden by Rampy. Maybe there was some high contact there. The umpire waved them on. Scotty Thompson didn't have time to assess it all. He was swamped by this relentless pressure from the Swans. Young Mitchell, who looks right at home at this level.
Just getting back to that forward 50 discussion, they've taken 14 marks inside their forward 50 tonight. Morton 3, White 3, McGlynn a couple and Everett sneaking down. It is just a fascinating discussion at the moment because you just can't write players off. You can't put a line through them. I know we tried at half-time, but you just can't do that.
Well, you had Jesse White in about row 15. But he has played a terrific game, and he's certainly letting everyone else know in the footy world that he can play.
Look at the pressure come now.
Oops. High.
See, that's really good for Adelaide. They had 3 or 4 numbers back. Riley slipped over, which allowed Jack to get past, put pressure on. Then a hand pass puts another player under pressure, and Hanbury takes him over the boundary line, and there's a stoppage which suits Sydney.
McKernan. And he did well with the follow-up. Good battle, Van Berlo, Hanbury. McGlynn enters. Kerridge straight back over him.
Drew, we saw what Adelaide were capable of last year. They don't seem to have got anywhere near those levels again this year. Why is that?
Chase, they've been poor the whole pre-season and most of the home and away season. They've got themselves going up until today. The last 3 or 4 weeks has been their best footy, but without winning against good sides. but they've been really, really disappointing. I think it must have been something to do with their training over the summer, because you don't lose your talent.
This is a much more promising build-up, but again, they're let down in front of the sticks. 3 goals, 9 for the night. Lynch misses there. Had 5 scoring shots to 2 for the quarter, but they've been outscored by 9 points. McVeigh takes the mark.
The opposition have worked them out a little bit as well. When Jacobs had a good year last year, they've got on top of him this year, and their midfield is a bit more predictable now.
Slightly up and under with the exit kick from Mitchell, but no damage done. Melcheski to big Mike Pike, confronted by Dangerfield, realised that.
Interesting option.
Hanbury, just his second disposal for the quarter, been quelled to some degree at least. Bolton eventually saw off the defensive effort from Otten. Kennedy, around they come again. Pike trying to get it back to Kennedy. McLean, and it's out now.
Just noticing Andreas Everett just come to the fence limping. He's just going for a wander now to check it out, but he's one who wouldn't want to be giving up his spot here. He'd want to fight through this game.
Pike brings it to ground. Dangerfield trying to get up and away. Crouch, Sloan, Bolton, Hanbury, Van Berlo with a push and a shove. Trying to make life difficult. Jack, McLean to the square. Jesse White, look at him jump. Couldn't mark it. And that might be high on Mitchell. The instant tackle from Riley. Costly as it turns out.
Looks like a good kid, doesn't he, Jace? He's hard, he's in and under. He come in last week.
We saw his debut last week, and he looks like a ready-made senior footballer. He's got a mature body. He's just had a bad run with injuries. Hasn't had continuity in his footy. But the raps on this guy are enormous. I'm pretty sure he's going to live up to them.
So he comes in and puts through the Swans' 3rd goal of the quarter. They're rubbing salt in now.
Well, what we've got are 5 scoring shots at one end for 5 behinds from Adelaide. 3 scoring shots at the other end for 3 goals. And the hole just starts getting deeper and deeper. You can't really complain, Brett Riley, but this guy, we're going to see a lot more of Tom Mitchell in the coming years. He'll move into the midfield and play a full-time role there as he gets more games under his belt, more continuity and fitness into his footy. But he got every attribute you probably think a decent midfielder needs to have.
Margin 60 now. Mumford to contend with Jacobs, Kennedy, O'Keefe, Bird. Big tackle on Mumford from Dangerfield. Kennedy, and they are rolling again, the Swans. McVeigh to half forward, up to meet at Pike.
Using the ball well, aren't they, boys?
Clinical precision.
Kennedy into the 50, Morton, Laird.
Jace, Kurt Tippett hasn't played for 11 weeks. He'll probably play in the local comp next week when Sydney have a bye. How quickly do you bring him back, do you think?
Well, that's going to be an interesting dilemma for John Longmire as well. You'd like to see him go straight to that lower level and dominate, and I think that makes it easy to bring him in.
He's got to earn it, surely,
if
doesn't he?
he doesn't, I think the culture at Sydney says you play when you're ready to play because you do deserve your spot.
That's what I would have thought.
So he'd be hoping to play well next week, I reckon. Gee, with all the players they have got out, I thought he might come pretty much straight into the team. I guess we'll wait and see. It'll be interesting, won't it? Melcheski with a low ball. Goods. Kennedy. Onto the boot. Oh, Morton!
He
made that up as he went along.
Well, that typifies their night. And that's what Mitch Morton does, doesn't he? He's an opportunist. He's a goal kicker. And he's got a bit of flair. And just have a look at this. When you're this far up, when you're 10 goals up, you can afford to have a shot on the outside of your boot, Jace, can't you? I don't think he would have got in too much trouble from Johnny Longmire for trying that one.
I just thought Brodie Smith maybe eased off, not expecting him to do that. He probably should have been goal side of him, perhaps.
Well, he did, didn't he? If Kurt Tippett does come back into the side after the bye, if he has a good game next week, it'll be against Port Adelaide here at Amy Stadium. Might be a few Crow supporters come down that game and say good day.
Well, it would have been interesting if he was playing tonight, wouldn't it?
He might have had a good night.
Would have been one heck of a reception. Vince down towards full forward. McKernan, Grundy. And still they go. Richards joins in the party. Douglas. He was trying to work something out, but there wasn't much on offer for him. McKernan again. Thompson the next in line. And the moment has passed for the Crows.
I think the Swans reserves might have a bye next weekend as well, I've just heard. So Tippett might not even get a game next week.
This is Melcheski. Drilling ball to centre half back.
They're out here again. Look at Mumford working hard on Jenkins. He could go all the way if he just keeps going. Oh, he got the bad bounce.
Yes, handicapped by the bounce. That time he had to
would have loved a race between the two big men, Hutto.
High ball from Mitchell. Allows him to run and jump. And it meant that Hanbury was camped at the bottom. Not getting as much liberty in this quarter.
We had a good one years ago, Sean Wren and Justin Madden. I don't know if you ever remember that one. Two big dinosaurs running down the wing at Waverley, I think it was.
Yeah. And he had the big helmet, didn't he, at the time? Big Justin.
Big age.
Yeah, he might have.
Parker. Kieran Jack.
Even that scoring opportunity then. You saw under pressure, Adelaide Crows fumble. As soon as they get half a sniff, Sydney, it's one or two quick hand passes to release a player from the stoppage and they're off.
Kieran Jack with 5 disposals this quarter, along with Kennedy and Melcheski, the most for the Swans. Douglas with 6 for the Adelaide Crows. 5 behinds to 4-1 for the term. The bleeding continues. It's out to 67 points. Lynch. Melcheski. They've won their share of the footy in the quarter, haven't they? But it just hasn't amounted to much.
The major feature today of what we've seen from Sydney Swans is, one, their ball use by hands to get each other into space from these contested situations, and the second part, the closing of space, how quickly they've hunted down the Adelaide Crows. Every time they look like getting a metre or two, they're closed down by a swarm of them.
I reckon their forwards must be enjoying it, because when they play other supposed top sides, they don't normally win the inside 50s. They're dominating 43 to 26 in this match, and that's a luxury they rarely experience.
Here's Hanbury again. Possession 32. Good spoil from Jenkins.
Oh, how good was that handball?
And Morton's kicked one free, and he thought, why not another?
Josh Kennedy's handball was quicker than anyone was even thinking about. He just picks it up and loops it over the top to Morton.
I think out of their 10 games prior to today, Jace, they'd only won the inside 50s out in 4 of those games. Get that 1-7.
Henderson. Jacobs, McKernan from the back, Grundy. McKernan fashioned out a handball straight to Grundy though, and then Hanbury collects another. It was difficult down there for Jenkins. This is Crouch and Sloan. The build up, they go round and round, not getting anywhere fast. Out to the wing. The spoil came from Lynch. He was out of position. There's Hanbury with another collect and another. Possession 34.
That was 2 on 3 and they won.
They're just so good in traffic.
Parker, little slick stuff through to Jack. He regains his balance here. Gave it back, Kennedy to Jack, who had them in the sights. Just misses.
Well, you should never win when you're 2 on 3, or very, very rarely anyway. But that's the sort of stuff you do at training, 3 on 2, and expect the 3s to win.
This is a clinic, this. They are showing some of their very best football, the Swans.
McVeigh versus Thompson. White. Back for McVeigh. A kind bounce. He got rolled around in the tackle. Douglas thought he'd done enough to earn a free. Line ball, throw in. Jacobs. Bolton. Kerridge, Goods.
Just 7 possessions, Adam Goods. In fact, 8. That was his 8th then. 3 kicks, 5 handballs. Very, very quiet night.
I think at 33 years of age, he just times his run, doesn't he? He doesn't need it tonight.
Correct.
I guess we'll see Brandon Jack in action pretty shortly for the Swans, which will be something else to watch for. all reports he's very bit taller than Kieran and certainly quick.
Goodsy might even go off for a rest.
69 points. Here's the margin. Swans pressing for more. Let's see if Goods can get in on the act. Riley. It's over now.
Don't think he's playing for a third Brownlow these days, is he, Jace?
There he is, Brandon Jack, just keeping the legs warm, getting ready for his opportunity.
There's that for a swipe forward. Steele, Kennedy sets it up. Morton.
Good discipline.
That's why Josh Kennedy is such a class player. He plays on.
He had the itch and he scratched it and put it through. 75 the diff.
So 3 goals in the third quarter for Mitch Morton after missing a couple of opportunities early in the match, but put that one down to Josh Kennedy. He won a ball that he should never have won here with Jenkins, who had him corralled on the boundary, and he had a teammate behind him, but somehow Josh Kennedy pushed him off it, took off, and then squared it up, and Morton just reaps the benefits of it. How does he just take that away so easily?
Mitch Morton getting in on a scoring spree here from the Swans. 5 goals, 3. He's kicked 3 for the quarter and for the match. Jesse White also has 3 to his name. The gather from McVeigh. The co-captain slipped inside and found Hanbury, who's up to 8 now for the quarter, would you believe, after a slow start. That wasn't his most memorable effort. That's going to be Sydney.
Well, played it against Van Berlo, which was the correct decision.
And the advantage paid and not fully taken. It's Jack just everything.
It's interesting because the greatest luxury that John Longmire has, we look here, which way should that go? He's got a boot in the head as well.
It wasn't really contact below the knees.
No, it wasn't. It was with the thighs. But all the players that are fringe players for Sydney. Jesse White comes in and he kicks 3 goals. You've got Andreas Everett that's come in. He's kicked the goal, played well with 16 possessions. Morton's in. He's kicked 3 goals. So what they're doing is making the most of their opportunities. And all of a sudden you've got all these players that want to get back into the lineup. But it's a wonderful problem to have for the Sydney match committee to think, well, we'll just pick whoever's playing best, and it means good players will miss out.
Yep, I think that's where they have to go, and that's the way you'd expect a club like Sydney to go.
You see Brenton Sanderson running his notes for 3/4 time there a moment ago. Goes back to the wing. Porplesia. He had a brief impact on this game when he came on, but it was fairly brief. Hanbury and McVeigh. Suddenly they're at half forward again, the Swans. Let's see what's on offer. Mumford feeding it back. Mitchell. Morton's outnumbered, but anything's possible at the moment for the Swans. Just ask Craig Bird. He'll kick another. He'll kick another, and the blitz continues at Amy Stadium.
Well, I'll tell you right now, this is the depths of Adelaide's despair. They had 2 players on the wing for an uncontested mark, and I think it was Lynch that cut across the front of Porplesia and put him off, caused him to drop the mark. Rebounds back in. They've still got numbers back, and the luck of the draw. But I mean, that should never have been in their attacking 50 to start with, because Adelaide didn't communicate when they had 2 players that both could have taken an uncontested mark that ended up spoiling each other.
Brenton Sanderson can't stay in the coach's box.
No, they're absolutely shell-shocked at the moment. Their confidence is shot.
Well, it was back in 1994, Jason, you might remember that Hawthorn walloped the Crows by 97 points. It's the biggest losing margin for Adelaide here at AAMI Stadium. You kicked 9 goals 6 that day, or night.
Were you playing, Roo?
No.
That's a shame.
No, I might have been actually. I did play in 94, but I didn't want to admit to it.
Rampy to Goods, and they are running rampant at the moment. Low ball into the 50. Here's Morton again, around the corner to Mitchell. Just lost the handle on it, but he's not done with yet. Look at him, just go hard inside. Well done from Smith. Brody Smith for the Crows. Jenkins. They try and round them up though and corner them and still put the pressure on. There is a way out this time.
And in the end, they had to kick long to a contest. And that's where all the problems start. Sydney turn it over, and look at the way they use the footy.
Grundy. Riley. And Rutten. And they just bum away again. Callanan. Able to edge out Smith to gain a slight advantage. Back for Henderson. Glances into the middle but decides that he couldn't trust anything that was on there. So it's bit by bit. Lynch trying to find Otten. Was it touched? No, it wasn't. Mark paid. The switch has been effected away from one side to the other.
Wrong decision. Corridor. He had the corridor on.
Vince. Kerridge. What's the reading on this one?
This is painful for the Adelaide people sitting out in the stands, isn't it? You can hear the sighs. They can't believe what they've seen tonight. They thought they were a chance, the Adelaide supporters, of knocking off the Premier. They thought there was some slim hope, but they've been absolutely demoralised. It is 20 years since a performance like this at Amy Stadium. Full credit to Sydney.
Look at the unbelievable score they've got on the scoreboard. 3 goals, 9 in almost 3 quarters of football.
They've missed some shots, there's no doubt, but this Sydney performance has just been wonderful. And Bolton still hungry for more. The give to Goods. McGlynn, the small man versus the sizeable Jenkins. Hunted him down. That could have been holding the ball. I'm not sure there was any decent contact for that.
Well, I reckon Jude Bolton's got every right to be a bit disappointed with Adam Goods. He gave it, wanted it back, he was clear. Goods, he just threw it on the boot, thinking that if he'd get it to space, Benny McGlynn would probably outrun Josh Jenkins, but the kick wasn't a great one on his left foot. Goods.
Sloan goes in search. Henderson goes to ground. He's hurt. And in the meantime, it's going to sting more because Malcheski goes to Goods. And the 7th goal of the quarter coming up. 7 unanswered goals in this term. And the lead will be 87. It is a horror movie for the Crows at the moment at Amy Stadium. So Goods comes in, puts it through. What a smashing.
7 goals to nothing in the 3rd quarter. And have a look at the desperation. When you're up by 10 goals, does the work rate drop off? No. Look at this for a tackle on a big bloke. Drags him to ground, little Benny McGlynn. And all of a sudden they're under pressure again. And then here's the marking spoil. A month ago, that's a free kick. But, you know, now you can have a good, old-fashioned, legitimate contest at the footy in the air. And they'll give it to whoever's strongest, whoever keeps their feet. Malcheski responds and finds Goods unmarked in the goal screen.
10 scoring shots to 5 for the quarter has resulted 7 goals 3 to 5 behinds. And they're closing in on the record losing margin at Amy Stadium. Not a record that this Adelaide side wants to hold, obviously.
They were breaking the other records last year, Hutto.
Yeah, they were. Smith the half forward. Sure you weren't playing in 1994, Root?
No, it definitely was. I just didn't want to tell Jace.
He was just a young fella, Hutto.
Henderson for Sloan. And Sloan again. And the siren sounds.
And the pressure again from Sydney stopped them getting a shot away.
Well, what can you say about that quarter of football?
Super impressive.
Very good, Sydney. And there's a man under pressure. And he's been under pressure all year at the Adelaide Footy Club.
Well, the Sydney Swans, you just have to admire them. They lead by 87 points, 17-12 to 3-9. They're as good a chance as anyone to win the flag in season 2013.
He'll still get 35, Hutto.
And kick 3.
Every week.
Back to the action here, and it's the Swans, 17-12, 114. Ruthless performance by the Sydney Swans, and they lead Adelaide 3 goals, 9 27 down to David King.
Well, this is as powerful as performances we've seen by the Sydney Swans for a long period of time. Look at the inside 50 numbers you can see. They've doubled them tonight, and that never happens for the Sydney Swans in favour of the Swans. 54 to 27, they've been able to take marks inside the forward 50, which hasn't been a problem in the past, but 16 is a huge number, and of those 16 marks, they've kicked 11 goals. The Crows only one from mark, so that's the difference. Tippett to come back, we know, but gee, they look powerful and strong forward centre tonight.
Yep, it's a very, very much a comprehensive smacking. I haven't seen Adelaide humbled like this. Even when they've played some ordinary football, the Crows, at different stages this year, they haven't been humbled to this degree, Roo.
They haven't. It's 20 years since as bad a performance. I just did the stats from quarter time to three-quarter time. 43 inside 50s to 13 since quarter time. It's just been an amazing performance. And we heard Brenton Sanderson at half-time say he'd be disappointed if they didn't come out and show some fight. Well,
they didn't.
He'd be disappointed.
You're correct. So, Roo, we look for reasons. We look for contributing factors. Everything that happened with the Kurt Tippett saga, losing a quality player, getting nothing for him, then getting sanctions, has it disrupted their preparation? Has it hurt them mentally? I don't know.
Well, it has to have. I mean, they're playing with one less bloke, they're playing with less money. I mean, they're not using the money that they've got for that player as well. They've lost draft picks that are going to hurt them this year and next year, plus this year's draft.
Well, there is Brandon Jack, as you saw. He's come on for Shane Mumford. So what a moment for him, and not a lot of pressure given. The scoreline is 87 points, but a great little introduction for him into the game. Following his brother, of course, his father Gary, a champion of rugby league. But he's out there for the Sydney Swans. Let's see what's in store for us in this last quarter. Will it be a 100-point plus victory by this awesome Sydney Swans team? Or can the Crows hit the scoreboard in a meaningful way? Kennedy, and they're away again. Melcheski, Hanbury powers on with his run.
He was well held in the third quarter, down to 10 disposals in the third quarter.
Brandon Jack got the kick. Bolton was charging forward, and it's taken all of 28 seconds.
Inexcusable. I'll tell you exactly what happened here. The ball was out on the far wing, the far flank. Adelaide Crows players in the corridor were all ball watching. Jude Bolton just took off to the goal square. Brandon Jack gets it. He knows what's going on. You'll see a couple of Crows there in the middle of the screen. They were caught ball watching. No one looked over the back. They've been caught out the back all night. No one bothered to look over their shoulder to see if it was happening again. And Jude Bolton strolls in and kicks the easiest of goals. He'd be shattered with this effort from his players, Brenton Sanderson.
So that's awareness and work rate, Jose.
Correct, and discipline.
There's the tweet from during the week that Kieran couldn't wait to get out there with the little bro.
Well, how good would that be?
What about that? Hashtag 2 Jacks are better than 1. If I was John Longmire, I would have subbed out Kieran when I brought him on.
Oh, you are mean and nasty, you are. I believe you too. The kick into the 50. Richards, McVeigh, Callanan. That's better stuff.
That was a rare tackle.
Yeah.
Well, the crowd getting angry. We can hear them coming through the glass here. Some advice for the umpires, fair to say. Out to half forward again. Sloan.
Look at this.
That's a good tackle. Unfortunately, there haven't been enough of them. You'd count them on one hand, the genuinely good, strong tackles from Adelaide that have stopped Sydney getting the ball out to a teammate or rebounding.
They've only had 4 inside 50 for the whole night, Jose.
Lynch just trying to hack it forward. Thompson gets pushed off his game by Richards. Great little reflex turnaround and kick from Paul Pleasure. Melcheski, Stern with the fist. There's McVeigh sorting the troops out. Rampy are getting out of their kick. They're outnumbered here, the Swans. But Bolton knows how to work those odds. Good stuff from Riley. And he just leaves Jack behind Dangerfield. Set sail for the square, but you know what? It's all Sydney.
Well, you said Sydney were outnumbered up on the wing. That's because they've got extras behind the footy. And they'll let you bring it back all day, because they know they set up so well structurally from a defensive perspective that they'll mop up and then have their opportunity to rebound with the ball under control.
Plenty of keepings off.
That wasn't a great kick.
Grundy was hoping Smith could get there. He couldn't, but he laid it. Beautiful tackle on Laird.
I'd love to know the amount of tackles that they've actually made. We know how many they've laid in terms of the flat number, but the effective tackle rate today for the Swans will be an all-time high.
O'Keefe back to the wing. Goods. Always someone there running, giving the players options. There's always good. Well, there's usually good protection. That time they just left the door open.
He came off the bench, Henderson.
Bird. There's Hanbury. Smith for Rutten. Stood the ground now. Dangerfield can tuck it under the arm. Urged on by the crowd. Talia to the wing. Stretches the handball inboard. Henderson. Jenkins. McKernan bolts back to the square to give him a long target. And he ducked back. It was pretty well crafted, the kick, but it does leave him with a really tight angle to negotiate here.
It is tight, but he's just going to go back, just size it up, cruise around and bend it back. Sounds easy, and a lot of players can do it these days, but he just doesn't need to rush the kick.
So McKernan will...
Now, see, you've got to also take into account what's happening around you. No one was coming from the side. He could have taken 2 or 3 steps out.
Yep.
Douglas back for Sloane. He's kept on trying hard tonight.
He's up to 24 touches, Rory Sloane.
He's one bloke that doesn't put white flags in the air.
Can hold the head up. He sends this one high for Thompson. Kernan tried to paddle it back for him, but the Swans still in command. McVeigh waited to the very last moment to release Bird into space. And then Richards, and then came out with some instructions. He said to Mitchell, just hang on. One thing about the Swans, their top 8 average possession winners have played every game this year. We know they've had some injuries on the flanks and up forward, but their midfielders, they just about don't miss a game, do they?
No, they're pretty durable and resilient, aren't they? But they probably need a rest at some stage this year, although they have got the bye next week, I suppose.
Laird, he was rushed. Melcheski, like a cricketer diving in the gully, took it to Jack.
Oh, look at McGlynn out.
And the share is there for all to see. McGlynn takes the mark.
As soon as they get a sniff of winning the ball, players further afield bolt forward, bolt into space, and just trust that their teammate will see it and use them accordingly. And they're so good at it.
Then Adelaide got no one really back blocking it up. For a minute there, it looked like he was just going to be able to find an easy pass in forward 50. Still a fair bit of space, really, if you want to lead.
So McGlynn, lovely contact.
Got there.
Yeah, just eased it through for a goal.
Seen a lot of Sydney this year, and that's the one thing I keep coming back to, Hunter. They work harder than everybody else. Their discipline to work hard in every aspect of the game is second to none.
Douglas finds a path to Lynch.
And even now, they've got extras back.
He turned them a little inside out, and my goodness, do we see right? It's an Adelaide goal.
Been 12 inside 50s to 4 in the last quarter, and Adelaide have kicked 1 goal 4, and Sydney have got 2 straight again.
Mitchell, the kick, you see the advantage. The free kick was meant for Sloane. The Crows to try and profit through the middle now. Lynch sold it nicely on Grundy, gets it in there quickly, and McKernan got the arms up and dragged it down. Some consolation goals, but I don't think they'll be too consoled by them somehow. Taylor Walker's a little bit distracted.
Yeah.
Well, he'll probably get in trouble for being happy this time, Roo, will he?
Well,
on a bad night.
Exactly. He's talking. That is Danger's girlfriend that he's talking to there. So he's not doing anything he shouldn't be doing.
In dangerous territory too as McKernan comes in and kicks for goal and strikes it well. Kicked a couple.
Well, at least they're having a crack here late in the game, Adelaide. It's all well and done, and Sydney have dropped off a bit, but you'd rather them be kicking goals than not. He has had a pretty quiet night, McKernan. Hasn't had a huge night at all. 14 disposals overall, so kicked a couple of goals now. But I think the Sydney rucks have been on top of the Adelaide rucks, and has just made the job harder for the Adelaide midfielders. But McKernan, 2 goals.
Tom Lynch has had a decent effort tonight, 21 disposals.
He works hard. He works hard. He pushes hard up the ground. He's one of those mobile forwards, and he's had a pretty good year for him.
Pike. And eventually, Kennedy gets it forward. Here's Mitch Morton. See how the arm's going. He's able to get the handball off. And Jack, no opportunity. Mitchell, it's curling. It's off hands.
Well, they've got the bye next week, Jay. Sydney, they'd be pretty happy going into the bye with a win like this.
They would. I'll tell you what has snuck up on me, Hutto. We just saw Tom Mitchell have a snap there. He's had 27 touches. He's just an accumulator in his second game. We saw him last week. He amassed a number of possessions as well.
18
last week on debut. Well, now he's gone to 27. Let's just say 10 tackles. He's had 5 clearances, 12 contested possessions. They've just found another beauty. He's got a goal to his name as well. So,
from what I can understand, GWS actually identified him as one of their major targets, but they weren't able to secure him because he could go to Sydney under the father son.
Yep.
And obviously they were able to make sure that he got a good enough offer to go along with that. And I'll be absolutely delighted they did from what we've seen so far.
Not too many players have 27 disposals in their second game. Wonder if anyone ever has, actually.
It's a fair effort, isn't it?
Huge numbers.
I remember Barlow came into the game, didn't he, last year, 4 or 5 years ago now, and had amassed some huge numbers straight away for Fremantle. Here is Tom Mitchell. Possession 28. Douglas. It's going to come again through Mitchell. He's 29th. Poking ball. Jack couldn't quite.
Would have gone to Bird if Jack didn't put the hand in there.
Sloan ripped it away. And the umpire couldn't be drawn on a free kick.
And they're the marks that Sydney have taken inside their attacking 50, 17 of them. And they've kicked 11 goals for. You talk about forward 50 efficiency, that's it in a nutshell.
Well, it's because they take them right in front of the goals, isn't it, Jace? Because they've got no one inside their forward 50 half the time when the ball goes in there. They take them 30 metres out straight in front.
Always running into space.
Douglas, the ladies kick, he's released, and again, it's like Tiger Woods pulling up on the follow-through on the downswing. Kerridge missed the target. Vince, Kernan, now Dangerfield off the left, trying to scoop it up. Was Lynch? Was he caught high? He was.
Yeah, paid it. Rory Sloane's up to 30 disposals for the second week in a row.
Bernie Vince strides into the 50. The pressure valve has been released.
Well, in some ways it's been good that Adelaide have been able to kick a few goals late, but some ways it's been disappointing that Sydney have allowed them as well, because up until this time they've been the best performance I've seen by a side for a long time.
Just saw some great work from Richard Douglas. I'm not sure why he needed the bounce after those 2 fumbles, because he only ran 2 steps, but his peripheral vision was brilliant not to have the kick smothered and then the ball going forward. Bernie Vince now got a goal to go with his 23 possessions.
So 4 minutes to go. At least Adelaide not adding to the records as far as performances here at Amy Stadium is concerned. They certainly won't get beaten by as much as your team did back in 1994, Root.
Easy. Very uncalled for that, Hutto.
Oh, he gets a knee right in the hip.
The Swans. I think they'd want to win by more than 78, Jason, given how much they've dominated by tonight.
They've probably just taken the finger off the pulse a fraction.
Jacobs is coming to the bench after that contact you've just spoken about, lads, in the middle of the ground. Not looking too flash.
Should just be a corky, you'd think, from that.
I like how we just dismiss it as just a corky.
Yeah, just a corky.
Well, he got a knee sort of just below the hip, just on the back of the thigh, around the glute area, so hopefully there's plenty of protection there and it's just bruising.
Good collect by Sloan. Poor pleasure. Otten. Next in line, Thompson. Feeds it back to Vince. Out wide to McKernan. 3 minutes 22. In the middle, there's a good intercept mark from Jack. Now the Swans can team up. And we've got another go at Brandon Jack. Oh, he just lost the handle. And forced just to try and work it into some friendly hands. O'Keefe to Kieran Jack. Bolton, plenty of Crows numbers back there. Kennedy to Mitchell, possession number 30. Extraordinary. Dribbling into the 50. It's going to come out of there pretty quickly. Henderson out wide, but Everett was able to get a fist in. Laird, Kerridge back to Laird. They're starting to close on them. Just stayed one step ahead, the Crows, and only just. Lynch. Kerridge. Poor pleasure, confronted by McVeigh. Kicks it wide to half forward. And here's Douglas. Jenkins. Oh, Parker. Hard-earned grab in front of Thompson. And it's fair to say the sting now.
Isn't it? It has gone. I was just thinking what a loss like this means for Adelaide.
Yeah. What does it mean, Roo?
Well, I mean, before the game we said they needed to win 8 or 9 out of the last 12 games to make the finals, but a performance like this makes you think they shouldn't even be thinking about the finals.
41 for Hanbury.
Yeah, this is about to be the record for the season.
Now they're a bit off the pace, Roo, aren't they?
Well, you couldn't have predicted this tonight, but now that it's happened, you shouldn't even talk finals. They've just got to get back to playing decent footy.
Jesse White arrived. Kennedy. Lynch puts the head down. Now the Crows can bolt. Dangerfield involved a couple of times to half forward. Malcheski wants to move it into the middle of Hanbury. There's the next month ahead for the Swans.
Well, it's not too bad, is it? You'd expect them to beat Port Adelaide and Melbourne pretty easily, and certainly you'd expect them to beat Carlton up at the SCG. So they're travelling very, very nicely, Sydney.
Yeah, they can afford with their injured players not to rush them back, to make sure they give them the extra week if they need be. Maybe even play a game back in the twos and get the confidence up.
Morton.
And look at resting players in the second half of the year to get them cherry ripe for September. They're going into the bye absolutely perfectly.
Poor pleasure. And here's Rory Sloane off and running and handballing. And Douglas might have the last kick of the match. He may not, though, because he's missed. And it's a behind. So it's just about job done for the Sydney Swans. It's going to be a 77-point margin. It was an absolute thrashing. They've stunned the Adelaide Crows, and no one can be in any doubt that the Sydney Swans are going to fight all the way to defend their premiership. And in 2013, after another complete performance, they are a force to be reckoned with, the Swans. They were simply awesome at Amy Stadium.
Unbelievable performance by Sydney Swan. When you start travelling away from home and beating sides by 77 points, I mean, this hasn't been a happy hunting ground for Sydney. They've been all right the last couple of years. Prior to that, they'd lost 8 games in a row to Adelaide, so they don't fear coming here at all now. They've turned the tables on Adelaide, who were one of the bogey sides for Sydney, and just a sparkling, impressive performance tonight by a side that is super well drilled and, as Jay said, works so hard for each other, and they've set so high standards. Even when they're 98 points up, Malcheski's still looking for players to take accountability for someone who didn't do something right on the mark.
Well, they're certainly not resting on their success from last season, the Sydney Swans. They're looking to lift the bar even higher. I think we might head down on the ground. David King
We've got Dan Hennebury down here. He's had almost a PB tonight, 40+ disposals tonight. But congratulations from the boys. What's changed your football? You've really come on leaps and bounds this year. You've had a fantastic year in your 5th season.
Oh, I just think it's probably the experienced midfield group that we've got working pretty hard together, and another pre-season, had no injuries during the pre-season, which helped. But really just that midfield group working well together. We've got a lot of depth in there, so not every week it's end of your term, but we work hard together, and we're starting to hit our straps now, which is good, and looking forward to a solid second half of the year.
Looked like you really set yourselves for the occasion tonight, particularly the midfield unit, really brutal, really tough in there with your tackle pressure and your clean hands out of that tight congestion.
Well, they got a super midfield, so we knew they were going to be on, and there's a bit of a feeling in the game early, and they came to play, and we did in the first 15 minutes, but to our credit, we fought back, and the midfield battle was super, and it was good to get on top of them in the end.
Slow start to the season, or from the outside looking in, first 2 or 3 weeks were just ordinary football, but you've really got rolling the last couple of weeks.
Definitely. I think our pre-season by our standards was pretty disappointing. We were pretty filthy with it. We weren't happy at all, and even our first couple of rounds was average. So to get kick-started and get a year going again is positive, and we'll have a good rest, and look forward to hopefully a strong second half of the year.
Been great to watch. Go enjoy it.
Cheers, Keith. Thanks, mate.